Boy, is it a Saturday again? Happy Saturday, everybody. We're in A2 pin setter territory today. Lane number 1, turn pan jams. We already know we have some 1-to-1s that we've condemned over the last 2 weeks. 41, our deck lift pin slowly walks out and encounters the gearbox and creates a problem there. So I'm hoping that we can take care of this today. We're going to punch the pin out, we're going to punch the bearings out, and we're going to replace the bearings with some new ones. I think that the bearings are bad, and the shaft doesn't rotate easily, and as it does rotate, it walks out. 32 bent rake shaft or sweeping out of time, we don't know yet. 33, 34 power lift motor up front. We'll take a look at that. Probably we're going to start here on 1, and then we'll maybe go out to 33, 34, see if it's going to be quick and easy. If it's not, then we're going to go to 41. I'd like to get this done for them. It's been 3 weeks that this lane has been down because we haven't been able to find the time to get that taken care of. But let's look at lane number 1, turn pan jams. I pulled the cover off. Well, no one was looking. And so what they were saying is they had a turret wire turn pan cam, and they were getting a lot of pin jams, so they decided to put the plastic turn pan cam back on, and they were still getting a lot of pin jams. I took the cover off, and I just looked up here, and guess what? Guess what's missing? The pin pocket. Let me rotate the pinwheel a little bit and get some light on here. Oh, not in my eyes, please. And hopefully without smashing my fingers. Yeah, look, let me zoom out. Pin pocket, no pin pocket. Where did it go? You would think if it had just fallen off, somebody would have said, hey, this looks important. Yeah, she's gone. So let's see if we can wrangle up a bolt-on pin pocket here. That should solve their issue, huh? Ah, too bright. So it doesn't appear to be under the machine. It's not down there. Where did it go? I don't know. We got to go look in the workshop. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna unbolt it from this machine, because this machine has become a donor pin setter, right? For better or for worse, we're going to remove one pin pocket and transplant it down to the other lane that's missing. We do have one bolt in here that is broken. So we've got this stud and this stud are good, but the one, it's below the frame rail right now, but that one is broken. We'll see if we can extract it so we can get 3 bolts in there, assuming they have more of these bolts spare. We don't know yet. So I'm gonna shut up, I'm gonna take this thing out, and then we're gonna try and extract the screw. So a few months ago I bought this kit, and I said investing in good tools is really important. This is the 3rd or the 4th time I've gone to this kit for left-hand drill bits and extractors, and so I think she's already paid for herself at least once. I don't think this is going to be super effective one-handed. No. We need to use the vise over here. Hold on. That's probably a little bit better. So let's see if we can start a hole here without a center punch. Yeah. She's almost ready to come out. The threads are a little loose, but they're still a little bit bound up. It wants to wiggle around in the hole, but it won't unthread. Let's put it that way. There it is. Nicely done. Good tools. Good tools. Invest in good tools. So we've got our donor pin pocket set up in here. We're just going to have to tighten our bolts down. Yeah, I should have brought the drill out of the workshop. We could have, or even the baby impact, we could have done this with power tools. That's okay. Not super difficult, right? It's not rocket surgery over here. Nice and tight, snugged down. Yeah. All right, let's turn it on and see what happens now. I did buy another one of these from Mouser. I lost it. After all of that rigmarole about I'll never lose it, guess what happened? The carabiner on my backpack broke and I lost it. So it could be anywhere between Salem and the Seattle area. We don't know. I know it's not in my car. I looked like a houndish fiend going through my car looking for this thing. But I finally gave in and just ordered another one from Mouser. Are we off on a circuit breaker? No, we're off on the rear switch, aren't we? Ding! Look, I made another disco party. Yep, fail. We forgot to remove all foreign objects from the pin setter before we turn it on. Oops. Alright, let's try this again. Can't really see our pin transfer. I need more light. So let's watch our pins as they transition through the turn pan. It's looking pretty good. Not bad, not bad. All right, let's call this one done. All right, so we can cross lane number 1, turn pan jams off the list. We have solved that. So we have, yeah, motor's not on, but our toggle switch is turned to the off position. Reset button is pressed here. There's probably one on the motor somewhere. Yeah, right down here. Reset's not tripped. Let's go ahead and hit the rocker switch here. Oh yeah. She's just buzzing. Oh, it's locked up. Yeah, wow. Something's locked up. Well, let's take the belt off. I wonder if the fan cover might have been hitting it. There's only one screw holding it on. We can add another one up in this corner. But yeah, I turned it and I had resistance, like the bearings were bad. And then I wiggled the fan cover a little bit and I didn't feel any more resistance. Crazy. Let's turn it on with no load and we'll see what we can see. Nope. Nope. She locked up again. Okay. Confirmed. Motor is bad. So we have a new motor. Well, not new. New to us, right? Never been used here before. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to recycle that motor sheave, even though it's not in amazing condition. there are no replacements new in stock in the workshop. I'm not going to get this on video. I've done a couple of power lift motor swaps already, so feel free to go backwards in time and watch those if you want to know what we're doing here. So we have our new used motor swapped out and wired in. I'm going to reach down there and flick the switch on. And can we all collectively back up just a little bit and say, 1, 2, 3, please don't blow up. Yeah, it runs. And it's going the proper direction. Yeah, buddy. Let's feed a ball through. Stuff it in here. There you go. Well, we had another one added to the list. 31, they're saying bananas, which is another way to say 180 on first ball. The machine shouldn't stop at 180 on first ball. But we're going to put our jumper in and we're going to turn it on and see what happens. So right off the bat, we have one cross conveyor belt that's moving and one that isn't. So let's shut the noise off for a minute. This one's pretty tight. This one's loosey-goosey. This is why you change cross conveyor belts out in pairs and not just one out of the pair. Because they might be different lengths, like what we have here. Here's a view from the bottom side. You see how much lower this one's hanging? That's not awesome. I don't know if we can adjust the tension on this enough. So the note says still 180s, needs T-probe adjustment. Okay. This is where it comes down to a trust but verify type of situation. So let's go ahead, let's loosen up our bolts here for our cross conveyor belt tension adjustment. And then we're going to grab a pry bar and just pull this back and retighten. That might help us a little bit. Well, I tried to tension as much as I could, but it's still going to slip. They need 2 new cross conveyor belts here. So we walked into a locked pin gate, and that will cause a 180. It won't be on first ball, but I don't know. Perhaps their verbiage or nomenclature is different than what I was taught, right? So let's turn it back on. Let's see what we can find out. Run it through first ball and second ball cycle. We're gonna do this off camera until we can maybe find some evidence or an issue. Well, so we've been cycling this for close to 10 minutes, and the interlock locking fingers and the interlock probe adjustments all look good. It holds pins when it should. It doesn't drop them inadvertently. So I haven't seen that belt stall yet, so that's good. We may have made some progress there. I don't know. I don't know if we want to have somebody bowl on it and well, we sit back here and watch, or just cycle it through for a little bit longer and see if anything else stands out. Our pin gate latch and lever look good. I haven't been able to cause that to fail, so I'm wondering if this belt being too loose was causing locked pin gates in 180 calls. Not necessarily bananas, because that's 180 on first ball. 180 is where the machine should stop to wait for pins if it doesn't have 10 pins to deliver into the deck and ultimately onto the surface of the lane. I think it is important to note that they've recently gone through and hooked up all of their reset buttons on the ball racks again. And what that can do is, if that reset button on the ball rack is pressed or held shut in just the most incompletely wrong time, your cycle linkage will bind up and your machine will stop at 180 on first ball. We're not seeing that right now. The reset button's hooked up and the ball rack button up front isn't stuck in the closed position. So we don't know. I think we're gonna wrap this one up here with a we found something here, we took care of it, and keep an eye on it. We're gonna move right next door over to lane 32. What they had the other day was they saw the rake arm itself tangled up in the deck and scissors cables. And those two parts should never collide, right? So I'm wondering if it had tried to sweep out of time. We don't know. We're gonna turn it on and we're gonna see what we can see. I've got it off at the breaker. I'm gonna turn it on at the rear switch, and we're gonna jog it through using the circuit breaker. That way we're not running at full speed. If we see something go out of whack, we can shut it down pretty quick. We wanna watch this hook, right? We wanna watch that hook lift and lower. See if it properly engages and releases our block. It would help to hit the cycle solenoid. Went up, good. 90 degrees. 135, sweeps. Our rake board is very high, but they adjusted the length of the rods to help clear their bind. That shouldn't be an issue right now. We'll come back to that in a minute. So we're at 180. We properly engaged the sweep. We are all the way rearward. Let's double check our rake cam timing while we're here. So we're gonna trip our clutch. We're gonna move our gearbox clutch in reverse 2 rotations and double check timing. Let's get some light on there. We're definitely out of whack here. Our bearing is not seated in the low dwell of that cam, so we're gonna have to shift the cam a little bit. So these 6 bolts are gonna come loose and that cam's gonna fall into place, and then we're gonna tighten those 6 bolts back up. That looks better. Yeah, she's all back in time. These bolts were not as tight as I would have liked to have seen, so this potentially could have slipped for any number of silly reasons. So we've tripped our 180 release link here. We're gonna turn it on. We're gonna come out of 180 up to 0. And then I'm gonna put it in second ball and cycle it. And then we're gonna hop down and look at our height of our rake board over the pin deck. No, it didn't come out of 180, hold on. Now, there we go. 270, back to 0. Second ball, trip the clutch. Right about there. We want our brake board to be in between the 2, 3, and the 4, 5, 6 road. Yeah, it's a little dark down here, but we're contacting the surface of the lane, so we need to shorten our rods. Book spec is 5/8 of an inch. I go a little bit below that. So this is a 9/16 speed wrench. Let me get my flashlight. The top of that surface to the lane is a little over 5/8. So we're doing pretty good there, right? Just a hair under 5/8, not much. But I suppose that it is easy to, if you're new on pin setters, machinery in general, to focus on the symptom and not the underlying problem. What happened here, the rake cam went out of time, and because of that, they adjusted the rake board height because it was off. They never noticed that the cam was out of time. So I'm kind of wondering if this interference here may have been the culprit. What I'm thinking could have happened is the rake arm is rubbing on the side of the cable pulleys, and I'm wondering if it hung it up, and that was the reason for our cam slipping out of time. I think what we're going to do is bring the machine back around to 0, and then we will drop the rake and see if we can bend that arm out a little bit. So we need to plug it in, we need to turn it on, and we will jog it ever so delicately back to 0, just in case we do encounter another bind. Yeah, maybe we can get away with trying this at 270 degrees instead. Yeah, it's been rubbing for a while, huh? Wow. What we're gonna try, I'm gonna crawl down here on the lane and use my foot, and we're gonna press that way. So let's look in here real quick. We have a gap now. We don't have direct physical interference anymore. It's not much, but yeah, honestly, we probably need to swap this rake shaft out. So we will advise them of what the situation is. The rake hook clearance height above the block looks decent. That doesn't look too bad. So I'm not sure if it actually swept out of time. I don't think it engaged that block when it wasn't supposed to. I think we had interference here between the rake arm and our pulleys, or our stabilizer rod too, right? If it's running into the pulleys, it's running into the stabilizer rod. Let's get a little more evidence here. The rake shaft is bent. That arm is sticking out more than that arm, so we're bent like that. So I think that's going to take care of lane 31, and then lane 32. We did the best we can for today, right? We know that this thing needs a rake shaft. I am going to pick up a couple of 1-to-1s tomorrow from a friend down in Salem, Oregon. Thank you for your donation, sir. It's greatly appreciated. I didn't want to call you out by name. Let me know if you do. So we're back on 41. We attempted to do this a couple weeks ago, but they had people bowling on either side, and I had kind of just deemed it was a little too dangerous at that point in time. But what I'd like to do, what I want to try to do, is we need to remove our deck cable and our scissor cable, probably our detector rod. We're going to take our stabilizer rod ends off here and on the opposite side, and we're going to remove our bearing caps as well. We're going to pull our deck away from our deck lift shaft, and we're going to basically drop the whole thing down so that the bearings are in a more accessible spot where we can punch them out and press them back in. We can't do that where we're at. We've got interference between that area, that bearing, and the turret frame. So I don't have my magnetic camera mount with me. I probably am not going to be able to just stick you guys up and have you watch right over my shoulder. But we'll pick it up in little bits and pieces here and there. I just realized I may have forgotten a couple of tools in my my work bag, so we're gonna pause it here and then we'll pick it up shortly. So we got our deck cable and scissor cable off. We've dropped our stabilizer rods on each side. Our rake spring tube above us here is disconnected at the rake shaft because I could not get the spacers out on the back side. They're pretty well frozen in there, so we'll just do it a different way on this one. The next step is going to be these bolts. Feels like there's Loctite in there. I don't know, maybe there is. but we're gonna remove the upper and lower bolt on each of these bearing caps, and then we're allowed to move our deck away. And I did get the detector rod removed from the bracket. I'm not worried about that. But yeah, we're gonna these two bolts and those two bolts, and then the whole thing will be able to drop it down. And we still have to remove our pin, don't we? So what I'm gonna do for that, because it's being a little bit difficult, I've got a shop rag here and a vice grips. I'm gonna make soft jaws on that. I'm just gonna gently clamp on that pin and tap it with a hammer to drive it out. That way we don't mar up the pin, because we're going to reuse it. We don't have a new one. It's gonna look something like that. And then we're gonna take a hammer and tap it. I will need two hands for this though, so I'm gonna put you guys down for a few. We've got all of our bolts out. Should be clear to drop, but we are not. What are we stuck on? We're encountering something here. Oh, it's our spring guide tube. Hold on. Well, we seem to have encountered a roadblock here. I don't have room between the back end of that spring tube and the frame to lower it down, right? So we're gonna have to take that rear bolt off and separate from the deck shaft on that side. Just a friendly reminder to lubricate your pivot points more than once every other decade. Needed a hammer and a punch just to back that thing up enough to where it would let go of the through hole in the top of the shaft there. Jesus. Yeah, now my back really hurts. So now with that obstacle out of our way, we should be able to drop our deck shaft straight down. What I need to do, I'm gonna pull this ever so slightly away. I stuffed it forward so the deck lift shaft wouldn't just drop on me all willy-nilly. But now we're a little stuck over there too. Hold on, let me set you down. I need a second hand. We're gonna twist our deck a little bit. So that'll work. All the way down. Beautiful, beautiful. Now the fun part, and I don't know if this is gonna work. I'm gonna try a hammer and a punch and punch the bearings out. Got new bearings in here and new flat washers and a couple of really thick washers and bolts. I'm gonna try and make like a bolt screw press to press these things back in. Never done it this way before, but it seems like it'll work, so we'll give it a shot. And yes, by the way, it would be easier at this point to remove that bolt and swap the entire unit out. However, they don't have a spare deck shaft. Oh, look, and she's a little bent too. Yeah, that might have been why that pin was walking out. We'll see if we can straighten that out just a little bit while we're in here. All the rollers are in there on both bearings. It's not missing any rollers. Normally, when these start going bad, you pull the pin out, all your little rollers just fall out. None of these have. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna see if I can take this and square it back up. These bearings might actually be good. A bent ear on the deck lift shaft may have been allowing that pin to walk out. Interesting. Well, maybe we plot twist, right? Let's see what we can accomplish with a vice grips and some leverage. Yeah, after just a couple minutes of reworking it, that's looking pretty good, actually. Yeah, I mean, she rolls, she slides in and out from both sides. Yeah, pretty good. We're gonna need some fresh lube. We'll go to the workshop. We'll grab some like some thick, like 80-90 weight gear oil, and then we'll start putting everything back together. Good. Well, so much for our bearing and screw press method. You know, it would have been cool to try that on camera. I've used similar methods in the past on the workbench, you know, like a big C-clamp, and it works really good, right? But we're kind of in a more confined space here. But yeah, sorry to disappoint. My back is starting to really hurt. So you know, if this is the easy way and we can wrap this up here, great. I'll love it, because I can't hunch over for very much longer. So we're gonna sploosh some oil in here. A little there, a little there. We're gonna lube our pivot points on the back of that spring tube also when we go to reassemble that. And hopefully, if anybody has to take it apart again in the future, it won't be tremendous exercise in futility. So we have our shaft, 2 brand new washers, 2 brand new snap rings. We've gone ahead and we put our deck post bearing caps back in, and so now we're going to install our pin with some new hardware and some bearings that are properly aligned now, and hopefully that pin will not continue to walk out and damage the gearbox. So one thing I noticed while I was installing this pin is that this lowering link isn't 100% squared to the pin now. So what we're gonna do, and we can't do it yet, but what we're gonna, we get everything put back together, we're gonna lift the deck up on the weight of that lowering link, and then at the top of the link we're gonna loosen the clamping bolt for the threaded adjustable collar inside the top end, and let that thing square out again. Alright, so stabilizer rods are on, deck lift pin is on, detector rod is on. Made sure that that got back in its bracket. We're going to start clearing up some stuff down here. We're going to move up top. We're going to get our spring tube back on, and got some, yeah, square that up. That lowering link is a little crooked. I had a hard time sliding the pin in through that lowering link, which tells me it's off-centered ever so slightly. All right, spring guide tube has been reinstalled. The bushings or pivot points They were lubricated. I did not get that on camera. So we're going to slowly, actually we checked down there, we've got all our tools out of the way. We've got our deck cable and scissor cable off still. That's fine. We just need to get this thing up to 0 and square out that lowering link just a little bit. I may not get the deck and scissor cable reinstallation on camera. I'm getting tired. I'm ready to wrap this thing up and button her up and go home, basically. So we're not quite at 0, and that was done for a reason. Get us some better access to this bolt right here. Really what we're gonna do, maybe, is just loosen it. I don't know if that shifted. If it did, I couldn't really tell. Let's grab a punch and try not to block the light here. See if we can wiggle. No, it's threaded in too short. Well, no. Okay, well, might be as good as we're gonna get. All right, so we got our scissor cable and our moving deck cable back on, and we are allowed to run freely now. Breaker on. Looking pretty good. So we're not good. Second ball. We'll zoom back out here, wider angle. We're gonna go back to first ball. Deck hook didn't move. And we got a lot of flippy, floppy, sloppy. So we're going to attempt to make a deck cable adjustment. We get the light up a little more. It looks like someone's been here recently, huh? Wow, that looks a whole lot better, huh? Yeah, I don't know why both of those adjuster studs were all the way out. Yeah. Regardless, we are good to go. So second ball, watch the hook over there. Good. First ball return. Always squeeze your lever and your micro switch. Don't yank up on the hook. You can throw this adjustment off if you do. There you go. Now, we only have one pin in the machine. So we're just gonna dry spot it, essentially. Looking pretty good. All right, so let's reintroduce the rest of our team over here into the pin setters. All right, one more time with pins. Scissors operation works. Now here, we'll fake a 20th pin. Moving deck works. The gearbox has oil in it. I checked. Yeah, look at our pin. We gotta wait to come out to 180. But our pin looks like it's rotating freely now. Come on, one more pin. One more pin. I think that we are gonna wrap things up here. It's time to go home. We have been here for a total of 5.5 hours today, and I'm very sore, and I would very much like to enjoy at least a half a day off, because I don't know when my next day off is gonna be. So we're good here. Let's wrap things up, close it out, go home.